So Ducati hit the retro nail on the hipster head with the Scrambler series. In the last 5 years, they've sold tens of thousands of these things. And they did the right thing in growing the range. The Scrambler range is now the largest model range that Ducati offer. You can start at the 400 end, and now you can jump all the way up to the 1100 that we rode a few months ago in Portugal. Now we're here today to take a look at that pretty Desert Sled Black Edition that you can see in the background. So aside from being the biggest trick that Yamaha have missed in making a modern day version of the XT500, what exactly is the Desert Sled? Well, to start with, it's probably one of the cooler retro turnkey bikes that you can buy. It absolutely screams go anywhere, do anything, I'm too cool for school, kind of retro funk. If you take a look at it and the standard Scrambler that we rode in California 5 years ago, that slightly longer legged, slightly more rugged appeal that it has because of the sump guard, because of the headlight guard, because of the longer legged upright nature that this has over the standard Scrambler, it's easy to see why this bike is sold by the boatload. So where is it selling well? Well, naturally, when you've got a bike that's suited to going off-road, it happens to sell incredibly well in congested cities like this one. We're in Shoreditch, we're at the bike shed. I'm here way too much as it is. Probably a couple of days a week I'll come and sit here and steal Wi-Fi, drink good coffee. But this is the exact place that Ducati expect to see their target market customers riding this bike. So what exactly does a Desert Sled owner get for his or her 9,750 quid? Well, they get what I think is, in this modern day and age, one of the most basic and simple motorcycling experiences that you can buy in terms of a brand new bike. Do that bit again, shall we? Look, I can spend the next 8 minutes bazzing around Shoreditch, trying to do skids and trying to look cool with my little authentic dirt, my little authentic off-road helmet. Or we can send this bike to Wales, to Mr. Chris Northover, who can show us what this bike can actually do when it goes off-road.
John, I couldn't agree more. There's no way a bike with knobbly tyres like this and that much suspension should be wandering around Shoreditch. Let's get out into some proper trails and see what it can really do. What do I think of the new Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled? It's pretty good actually. Oh, you want to know more? Oh, okay, right, gotcha. Yeah, it's pretty good. So it's 800cc, V-twin, 200mm of suspension travel, 73 horsepower, and first of all, it looks nuts. It looks nothing like all the other adventure bike and off-road bikes, so that's I think a big benefit of this bike. Does it work off-road? Yeah, it does. It says in the brochure, from the roughest roads of California. Yeah, we don't really have that here. We've got muddy, rocky tracks in South Wales, but today the Scrambler has coped incredibly well with it. Clearly it's much happier on big, fast-flowing fire roads, but when we threw it into the forest and threw it into big ruts, big muddy puddles, difficult slippery hill climbs, it performed brilliantly. And most importantly, in this class of bike, it made it easy to ride. There's none of this aggressive power trying to spit you off the back. Easy, soft engine, loads of torque, plugged its way through the mud, through the rocks, way easier than a bike that looks that cool has any right to do. A big thing with riding off-road bikes and riding adventure bikes or bikes like the Scrambler that are designed to be a road bike that can go off-road, one of the biggest things is riding position. You need a good riding position to be able to stand up and ride off-road. The Scrambler does that perfectly. The foot pegs are really well placed, nice high wide bars, and it means you can really get above it and throw it around on the trail. If I was going to pick holes in it, the foot pegs are a little bit slippery for me. They're alloy foot pegs that you pull the rubbers out for off-road riding, and as soon as they got wet, my feet were a little bit uncertain. That's one bad point on an otherwise really nice to ride, really comfortable bike. And I can hear it already. I can hear it. It's too heavy for off-road. Why don't you buy a proper off-road bike? Yeah, absolutely. If you're going off-roading and your whole goal is to be an off-road rider, you're not going to buy a Ducati Desert Sled. You're going to go and buy a competition off-road bike. But if you want something that you can ride to work on Monday morning, go for a blast around the lanes, nip to hipster cafes in the city like John, and then still tackle some gnarly trails, that's where these bikes rule. The last thing you want to do is ride a 300cc two-stroke 200 miles across the country and then just go off-roading. One of these, you can ride it all day, find a trail while you're out, dive on, get muddy, make some splashes, and then ride it home again. So no, it's not a proper off-road bike, but it'll do it and it'll go there. So riding the trails at a nice sort of smooth pace, the scrambler works perfectly. Once you start upping the ante a bit, hitting things a bit harder, then it kind of pops up and goes, excuse me, can you take me back to the coffee shop please? It starts getting a bit soft. A couple of the big drops, a couple of the bigger impacts, it does blow through the suspension travel. Now, if you were the sort of person who gets a big buzz out of riding these bikes off-road, you could definitely stiffen the suspension up, get it a little bit higher, and it'd be another level again of off-road capability. So why would you buy a Desert Sled compared to a normal Ducati Scrambler? Look at it. It's awesome. It's all jacked up. I think if you were a short person, I'm fairly short, but if you're a short person who likes to be able to get both feet on the floor on a bike, you're probably going to stick with the normal Scrambler and not go for the Desert Sled. It is taller, it is more imposing. I'm 5'8", and I can just about get my feet down. If you can get 1 foot down, that's more than enough, and I'm pretty happy on it. The benefit to that is when you're riding it around town, it is tall, you are up in the air, and you can see more, you can see over cars, and it has kind of, I guess you'd call it a commanding riding position, but it's got that sit-up riding position that just makes it feel a little bit more fun. So that's it, we're done. Full day of riding around in the Welsh forests in the pouring rain. The Scrambler, fantastic bike. Much more capable off-road than I first thought. Definitely more comfortable on a gravel fire road, but if you want to go on a gnarlier trail, it'll take you there. Great fun, looks cool, easy to ride. What more can you want?